Financially, you've done it right all your life. You've paid your bills, you've paid your taxes, you've saved and invested for the future, and you've done well. But market dips have done some damage, and lately, you have your doubts about our government's policies. How will you maintain your lifestyle, your health, and your personal freedoms that you cherish? Welcome to Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, where it's all about the health, wealth, and freedom you need to live life your way all the way. Stand by for strategies you can use to turn your retirement dreams into reality. Now here's the host of Wealth Guardians, Doug Ray.
Well, welcome in. This is the Wealth Guardians Show. My name is Doug Ray, and I am your host for the next few minutes. And I want to just give a big shout out and thank you to all of our servicemen and women who are serving in the armed forces today and going out and sacrificing for us. We thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Well, what is the biggest risk that you face in retirement? Do you have any idea what it is? Is it the stock market? No. Is it health care? Well, you're close, but no. How about taxes? Well, once again, no. The single biggest risk in retirement, without a doubt, that you face is longevity. Longevity. According to a recent article from CBS MarketWatch, the number of centenarians in the world will grow 8-fold in the next 35 years. That means the number of people who reach their 100th birthday will grow from about 451,000 in 2015 to about 3.7 million in 2050. That's unbelievable stuff. So even if you live to be 85 or 90, which seems pretty reasonable these days, you'd have to take a hard look at your retirement savings and wonder, would it last? Can you honestly say you've done this? The last place you want to be is 85 years old, full of life, flat broke, right? That's a worst case scenario. So today's show is not only a wake-up call to you, but we're going to help you come up with some easy solutions. Today, we'll dive into the numbers behind today's life expectancies and discuss exactly how it's going to impact your money and your retirement. Plus, we'll help you put together a strategy to help you stretch every dollar you've saved for retirement. You know, a part of stretching your dollars out in retirement is optimizing your Social Security. But then, Casey and I have been telling you, you lost that ability April the 29th. Well, you lost a leg of it, but there's still other things that can be done. For example, there's another wonderful strategy for those of you who are 62 years of age and older. As of January 1st of this year, we can take advantage of this strategy all the way up until 2019. So we got about 3 years, 2.5 years to go to take advantage of that strategy. Now, let me tell you, we're going to host another Social Security workshop. It's coming up on Tuesday, May the 24th at 6:30 p.m. and Thursday, May the 26th at 6:30 p.m. at the Broyhill Conference Center in Clemens. Now, there's a couple ways that you can register for that. How about the old-fashioned way? Just pick up the phone. 336-391-3409. That works. Just leave your name and your contact information, and Joy will call you and get you registered. How about the new age way to do it? How about visiting my website, www.thewealthguardians.com. You can register right on that website, and while you're there, you can poke around on there. I've got plenty of information. I got some Social Security handouts, some white papers up there, some interesting things about retirement that I think are very, very important, for people to understand. So again, Social Security workshop coming up Tuesday, May 24th, Thursday, May 26th, 6:30 in the evening out at the Broyhill Conference Center in Clemens. Please come. There's a ton of stuff to take advantage of. Everybody's turning Social Security age every day. And I tell you what, it's crazy. It's a staggering number of folks. You know, we're talking about centenarians, and I've always loved telling Pop-Pop stories. And Pop-Pop was, if you've been a long-time listener of this show, you know he was my wife's grandfather, and he made it to 104. Well, he was driving right up till 102, and he had one of those big, gigantic Cadillacs. I mean, this was a 1984 Sedan DeVille, and if you remember those things, they were a true land yacht. I mean, they're not like the Cadillacs now. This thing was a monster. But Pop-Pop was just, I mean, he was with it. He was, physically fit. He mentally fit. And like I said, he was driving right up to 102. And then we had to take his keys because one day he went to CVS drugstore to get a prescription filled and sort of got confused. And instead of going into reverse, he went into drive and he hit the building, and he realized it was time to give it up. But, still he made it to 104 and was doing great. So it's obvious that we are living longer. And, I've got another couple little case studies here I want to tell you about as the show progresses, but we've got to be able to prepare for that. It's an amazing thing. Pop-Pop was lucky in the fact that he had a pension, and a lot of folks back in those days did have pensions. And that's something that, we just don't have anymore. Here's something interesting I dug up, and I want to go over this with you. From the 70s, the 80s, and even into the mid-90s, the average age of retirement started to decline. And by the mid-90s, it had gone to age 62. But lately, in the last 15 or so years, it's been reversing course. People are retiring much later in life. And, we're trying to figure out why that is. Some of those factors could be the fact that there's not as many pensions left in corporate America, the rising cost of health insurance premiums, the incentive. I talk about this all the time, delaying Social Security. That's a huge incentive to delay retirement. But longevity risk is certainly growing. It's a concern for today's workers and retirees. And the sad fact is the average 65-year-old in this country has less than $10,000 set aside for retirement. So that means they are going to be dependent upon their Social Security for the rest of their life. That truly is a sad situation. I talk to hundreds of people about planning for retirement every year, maybe thousands. I lose count. These are your friends and your neighbors, people who live right here in the Triad. And the same conversation comes up with just about everybody. People tell me they don't want to lose one thin dime. It was just too hard to earn. They don't trust the stock market. They don't really trust the government anymore. They're afraid of running out of money in retirement, living too long past their what their money does for them. Does that sound a lot like you? Do you worry about the same things? Do you actually have a plan? I mean a real plan, a written plan, a roadmap to retirement. Or do you wonder if you have all the pieces of the retirement puzzle put together? Look, if you want to make your money go further in retirement, if you don't have $100 million like Donald Trump, and you want to make every dollar count, then you need a plan. And this is where we can help. So let's get started right now with a 5-point master retirement plan for you. We're going to give you clarity. It's going to give you confidence with your money and with your retirement. One of the greatest things about my job is when I can come back in and tell a couple, you can retire. In fact, you're going to make it through age 100 in retirement. And you've got capacity to do all those wonderful things that you've always wanted to do in retirement, like the Great Alaska Cruise or taking the kids to Disney. That truly is an excitement for me to see that big smile spread across their face. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to schedule an appointment with me to come in. It's free. There's no obligation. I'm going to put together a 5-point retirement roadmap for you. It's a master plan with a Social Security optimization built into it. Call us at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. We have helped hundreds of people retire successfully right here in the Triad. We can help you too. 336-391-3409. Well, let's get back into this longevity situation. You know, MarketWatch had some interesting numbers, and I mentioned them when we first opened up. In 2015, just last year, there was 451,000 centenarians. And by 2050, they're estimating that that is going to balloon to 3.7 million people. That means last year there was just 7.4 centenarians per every 100,000 adults age 65 and up. In 2050, there's going to be almost 24. If that trend is going to continue from 1990 to 2015, the population of people age 100, it grew fourfold. There's a number of reasons why people live longer, including improved health, include drugs. They're going to their doctors. If they've got high blood pressure, that's being regulated and taken care of. You know, modern medicine wasn't available to our grandfathers and grandmothers, but we have a lot of things now that are keeping us alive a lot longer. So that means you do have to prepare to live well into your 80s and 90s. And I know a lot of people come in and see me, I'm not going to make it till then. Well, you know what? You got to prepare like you will. Only God knows when our last day's here. But you need to prepare for longevity, because it indeed is one of the biggest risks that you have in retirement. Now, if you just joined us, I want to remind you that coming up on Tuesday, May the 24th, and Thursday, May the 26th, we're going to do another Social Security workshop. They've been very, very popular, and that'll be 6:30 in the evening, both of them, at the Broyhill Conference Center in Clemens, Tuesday, May 24th, Thursday, May the 26th, 6:30. I'll need you to go ahead and register as soon as possible. Give us a call at 336-391-3409. Or go on our website, www.thewealthguardians.com, and you can register right there. And again, while you're on our website, feel free to visit and download and read some research papers we got on there on Social Security and retirement and anything that interests you. Again, Social Security workshop coming up Tuesday, May 24th, Thursday, May 26th. You be there. Welcome back. I'm Doug Ray, and you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show right here on 94.5 WPTI. You know, just recently, a woman named Ida Keeling raced a 100-meter dash at the 122nd Penn Relays at Franklin Field in West Philly. Not only did she win the race, but she also broke the world record for her age group. And by the way, Ida's 100 years old. These kinds of stories are popping up everywhere today. Is it possible you're going to celebrate your 100th birthday? Coming up in this segment, I'm going to reveal the latest research on how we're all living longer, how it impacts planning for retirement, and some of the strategies we use with our very own clients to ensure your money lasts as long as you do. You know, a cute story I gotta tell you. It's absolutely 100% truthful. It was Tuesday. I was talking to a new client on the phone. I'm going to call him Harry. I'm going to change his name. Harry's 92. He looks 62. He acts like he's, 42. Sharp as a bell. Still drives, obviously. In fact, he drove from Greensboro, where he lives, over to, I first met him, believe it or not, in my Charlotte office. Yeah. 92 years old. But Harry was telling me that in a couple weeks, he and his son are going to drive up to Ohio, outside of Canton. And Harry is going to attend his 74th high school reunion. That's a neat story. So I asked Harry, I said, so how many kids graduated with you in high school? He said, we had a huge class, 15. Yep, 10 girls and 5 boys. And now there's 4 girls and just me. 5 out of 15 left. But Harry's 92, going strong, and I really, really, really look forward to working with him for many more years to come. I want to get back to that story I opened with Ida Keeling. You know, I told you she broke the world record for the 100-yard dash for her age group, which was 80 years and up. She was 100 when she did it. But, you know, she loves to run. She says it's wonderful. It just makes her feel great. And her trainer is her own daughter, Shelley. This lady she's got a mat where she does squats, she does push-ups. She can do all kinds of calisthenics, her daughter says. And, you know, she can even move and push her own body weight, which is amazing for a 100-year-old person. She got started running when she was 67. She entered a 5K, and I guess she's just been running ever since. You know, again, so the point I guess we need to make is, as I stated in the first part of the segment, 100-year-old folks, centenarians, are expect to more than grow 8 times between now and 2050. You could possibly be one of them, and even if you don't make it to 100, the likelihood, I mean, if you're 65 now and you're in reasonably good health, I mean, Duke University a couple years ago said there's probably a good 80% chance that you're going to make it into your 90s. And you got to be able to prepare for that. You know, you need to learn how to stretch your Social Security as long as it can go. Don't just take it at 62 just because you think you need to or you want to. Go into that decision armed with the most education you can get about it. And let me tell you something. How many of you know that Social Security can be taxed? It can be. I find that a lot of people don't think it is. Now, wouldn't you rather go into retirement having a tax-efficient retirement plan? In other words, how do you best take money out of all of your various accounts so as to minimize the taxation on your Social Security? Think about it this way. About the first 10 years of you taking your Social Security is basically the government's just paying you your money back. Remember all the years you worked? Every pay period, you had monies deducted from that paycheck that went directly into the Social Security system. That's your money. And for 10 years, the first 10 years roughly, that's what you're getting, what you paid back. Now, does it seem fair to be taxed on your own money? That's exactly what's happening to a lot of you. Now, wouldn't it be nice if you had a system set up so that you had a withdrawal plan that either completely eliminated or avoided as much taxation of those Social Security dollars as possible? And that's what we do in our 5-point master retirement plan. And the other thing you can do to learn more about this is you can attend our Social Security workshop that's coming up very, very soon, Tuesday, May the 24th at 6:30, and Thursday, May the 26th, also at 6:30 in the evening. Both of them will be at the Broyhill Conference Center in Clemens. So call us at 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409, and that's for the next Social Security workshops. There are still plenty of things we can do to extend your Social Security, maximize your Social Security, and limit your tax liability on those Social Security dollars. Remember, the first 10 years is basically your money anyway. You don't get into the government's pocket until you've been on Social Security for about 10 years. Now, the quicker you can get into the government's pocket, that's the better thing for you. Learn how to do that at our Social Security workshop, Tuesday, May 24th, Thursday, May 26th. And if you just joined us, this is the Wealth Guardian Show. My name is Doug Ray, and today we've been talking about longevity. It is the biggest risk to your retirement plan. I've told some pretty neat stories on this show today about some centenarians, and I've got another one for you. Just last week, a man who is believed to be America's oldest World War II veteran passed away. He was 110 years old. Frank Livingston was born in Louisiana. He traveled to D.C. in December to take part in a wreath-laying ceremony at the World War II Memorial to mark the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Livingston turned 110 in November. He served in the Army as a private in Italy during World War II. He enlisted in 1942. It's a little under a year after Pearl Harbor attack in Hawaii, which killed 2,400 service members and forced the United States into World War II. While Livingston was never married, he was devoted to his sisters and his brothers' children, and he was the backbone of that family. Livingston told the news outlet that he was an individual who was able to mingle with people of all levels, from the uneducated to those with the highest level of education. Can you imagine living to 110 years of age? I mean, talk about the odds that this guy faced. I mean, he was a soldier in World War II in Italy and made it home, and then he makes it to 110 years of age. These are some of the things we've been talking about today, and you know, the risk of longevity is truly growing. And the obvious reasons are, you know, we are living longer. We have reasons to live longer. We're healthier today. We take better care of ourselves. We have modern medicine to take care of our cholesterol issues and our blood pressure issues. I had a conversation I'll never forget with a prospective client. You know, he tells me that he doesn't need long-term care because he's probably going to die soon, because all of the men in his family died. His dad died at 56 and his brother passed away at 45 or something like that. And so I asked him, I said, well, you know, what did your dad pass away from? And he said he had a stroke or a heart attack. I couldn't remember. And I said, okay, did your dad, did he go to the doctor? And he said, no, he was never sick. He just died one day. And I said, okay. I said, do you think maybe he could have had high blood pressure or high cholesterol or something like that? And he said, well, it's possible. And I asked, well, do you go to the doctor? And he goes, well, yeah, of course. I go every year, get my checkup and when I need to. And I said, are you on any meds? And he goes, well, yeah, I've got cholesterol medication and I've got high blood pressure medication. And I said, well, is it controlled with those medications? And he said, yeah, I just went to the doctor for my annual checkup 2 months ago and everything looks good. And I said, okay. I said, do you think that may have some bearing on how long you may live? And he stood there and he thought for a few seconds and he said, yeah, you know, you're right. I never really looked at it that way. I just kind of looked at my family history and thought the same was going to happen to me. And I said, well, you probably need to prepare for a longer life expectancy than you think. So let's get down to work here. Let's roll up our shirt sleeves and you know, maybe you won't make it to 95, but I'm going to prepare a plan for you that is going to help you get to 95 without running out of money. And that's what we do, folks. We want to make sure that your retirement is as good and as wonderful as you hope it to be. We want to make sure you maintain your standard of living without running out of money. And my goal is actually to make this plan go to age 100. Now, what is maintaining your standard of living? It's pretty simple. If you tell me your standard of living is you have a $4,000 a month spending plan, that's your budget, that's your standard of living, then we want to make sure that you can continue that and hopefully even increase it for the rest of your life. Now, to at least maintain, what we have to do is we have to factor every year two things in. We have to factor inflation and we have to factor taxes in. Well, I spoke to you earlier about minimizing taxes. That's something else our plan does, is it helps minimize the taxation on your retirement income and especially on your Social Security income. So getting you from retirement at age 62, 65, 67, 68, whatever your goal is, through age 100 is our main goal. So what I want you to do is to take us up on this offer today to come in free of charge, no obligation, and let me put this 5-point master retirement plan together for you. Call us at 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409. I'll bet most of you don't have a written retirement plan on your desk today. Get one. Call us, 336-391-3409. I'll see you next week.